racing to come this afternoon, but we will start with the women's K2 200-meter heats set to start in just a few minutes. To get underway here in the first heat of the women's K2 200 meters. In lane 2, a new duo racing on the international seed in this event from Argentina, Candelaria Cerquera and Lucia Aziz. In lane 3, from Sweden, includes Linnea Stensos, a two-time Olympian and bronze medalist in K1 200 in 2018, and Moa Wigberg, who was 4th last year in the K1 200 at the World Championships. Lane 4 brings together the 2020 World silver medalist in this event and bronze in 2019. And Anna Lutz is also a 2021 mixed K2 world champion and 2018 world's K1 200 meter champion. From Hungary, Bianca Kiss and Anna Lutz. And in lane 5, Poland took bronze last year in this event, and then one of the paddlers is also coming in this year to replace one of the others, so a bit of a new crew this year. Marta is a two-time Olympian, silver Olympic medalist in K1 200 and 11-time world champion, and Katarina is the 2021 K1 200 meter silver medalist at the Under-23 World Championship. So very strong crew from Poland, Marta Walczykiewicz and Katarina Korodziejczyk. In lane 6, new duo for Canada that burst on the international scene earlier this year with 2 A-final appearances in K2 500 at the World Cups. Adrienne is a two-time Olympian and pairs up with Toshka, the 2021 junior bronze medalist in K1 200. Representing the Canoe-Kayak de Vitesse de Trois-Rivières and the Rideau Canoe Club, Adrienne Langlois and Toshka Rebecca. And finally, in lane 7, Savannah is joining the experienced Caitlin McElroy in this event, coming off a semi-final result in Poznan from the United States, Savannah Wright and Caitlin McElroy.
1 minute to start. Please come.
So in this race, there will be 2 heats, so top 3 will advance directly to the A final, with the remaining boats 4th to 7th going to semi-finals. Boats are just entering the starting blocks now, so we should be underway in just a few minutes. Again, Argentina in lane 2, Sweden lane 3, Hungary lane 4, Poland lane 5, Canada lane 6, and the United States in lane 7.
2 forward, 7 forward, ready, set.
And we have a start here in the first heat of the women's K2 200 meters. Looks like a bit of a false start, so we'll have to wait and get this reset before we can get underway. And we'll get direction on who committed the false start here in just an instant. Does look like the false start was attributed to Poland lane 5, so we'll just have the athletes loop back around and set again at the start line before we get underway here in the first heat of the women's K2.
And while we're waiting for that, some interesting facts here about Lake Banook, where we are today. It is named for the Mi'kmaq phrase for first lake, as it is the first lake in a system that later became the Shubenacadie Canal. The Mi'kmaq people were the first to navigate the waters of Lake Banook. And Dartmouth, where we are right now, is also known as the City of Lakes. Any idea how many there are, PL?
I don't. 42 will be my guess.
All right, well, you're not close at all. The answer is 23, which is much more than I thought, but apparently less than you thought. So there we go. 23 lakes here in Dartmouth.
So the athletes are just resetting now, making their way back to the start line. Thanks, Priya, for those 2 bits of knowledge, and certainly learning, even though I live just down the streets from here. Crews are just ready to go now after that false start from Poland in the first go of this race. Again, this is the women's K2 200 meter first heat.
Hold your positions. 2 forward. Ready, set.
And we have a start in the first heat of the women's K2 200 meter. Really strong start from lane 4, Hungary here as we get underway. Expecting to be a really closely contested race. It looks like Hungary, Poland, and Canada are out there in the top 3 position off the line as we approach the second 100 of this 200 meter race. Approaching the last 50 meters here, it does look like a race between Hungary, Poland, and Canada for the top 3 position that will be advancing directly to the A final a little bit later this week. So congratulations to those 3 crews as the USA are just crossing the line and win from Bianca Kiss and Anna Lutz, again, 2 200-meter paddler, extremely experienced and 2021 silver medalists in this event. So no surprise to see them advance to the A final. And really strong start from the Canadian crew here of Adrienne and Toshka. A lot of power off the line. Adrienne is a really good 200-meter paddler, having raced the K1 at the Olympics in Tokyo and in Rio, so lots of experience and a lot of power from Toshka, who also has some good 500 and 200 experience from the Junior World Championships. So great to see that crew performing at the top level here on Lake Banook.
And certainly for them, nice to have the hometown crowd cheering them on here. We can hear everyone clapping for them as they cross the finish line as well. Congratulations.
1 minute to start. Please come to
Yeah, just confirming here, Hungary, Poland, and then Canada. Really close for second place here between Poland and Canada. And those 3 boats will be advancing to the A final that will take place on Saturday.
Please come to the start line. All boats to the start line.
Yes, confirmation of the time here, so just under 40 seconds for Hungary's Bianca Kiss and Anna Lutz taking the win in the first heat. We're about to get underway here in the second heat of the women's K2 200 meters. Again, top 3 will be heading to the A final. The other boats go into the semis. In lane 3, we have an experienced K2 counting 2 World Championships medals to their name. The U23 K2 500 meter in 2013 and the 2019 K2000. And then their semifinalists last year in this event at the World Championships from Mexico, Karina Alanis and Marcelina Montemayor. In lane 4, from Australia, Ella Beer and Yale Stenepris from Australia. In lane 5, we have Ukraine, Anastasia Orlova and Lyudmila Kuklisnovska. In lane 6, Spain, Sarah Uzanda and Teresa Portela. And in lane 7, Melina Trifescu and Laura Plesisa.
Ready, set.
And we have a start in the second heat of the women's K2 200 meters. Strong start from lane 5 here from Ukraine. Bronze medalist in this event back in 2018. But again, Spain just coming in back and Australia sticking with them here. Top 3 will be advancing directly to the A final. That will be contested on Saturday. But really strong rate here by Spain. The crew of Sarah Usande and Teresa Portela as they're pushing to the second half to try to take the win here in the second heat. Looks like Australia is also getting into the mix here. Ella Bear and Yale Stenepris as they're coming in and closing this race, but very close race for the top 3 crews here, with Mexico coming in 4th and Romania in 5th. And it does look like so far awarding first place to the Spanish crew of Sarah Vicente and Teresa Portela. Some great racing here by these three crews joining Hungary, Poland, and Canada in the final on Saturday. Great start from lane 5 here, getting a bit of a lead and an edge on Spain and Australia, but those two crews fought in and stayed in to come in and take the first 2 spots in the second heat of the K2 200.
To go in team boats for their first time ever because they might have been the only woman doing canoe in their country at the time. So we were all really in that mindset of helping each other out, making sure everybody felt as prepared as they could be. And yeah, it was, we met people, we made friends, and it just felt like we were part of something even bigger than what was happening on race day.
It kind of took pressure a little bit off of the race itself, because it's just being here and showing what we were capable of meant a lot to me and Maria. So as much as, I wish we got to do all those things, it really had its own special moment for this run. So much for sharing that.
There's very little room for error, I'd say, in the 200-meter race. actually from different clubs. I was from Canoe-Kayak, but we were next door neighbors, so we got a little extra time together. And Julia and Sophia, who are competing in the 200 here for Canada this week, they're a young crew, but they've actually been paddling together since 2016. So they've spent lots of time in the boat together, and you'll see they're just very much in sync.
And that matters a lot too. Like in the 500, you need to really be on the same page about what the race plan is and trusting each other that they're going to stick with it and be there at those moments that maybe you're struggling or you had a weird stroke. That person is going to carry you through those things in the doubles at least. And then in the 200, it's the same thing. We don't really have like a race plan that's broken down. It's just go as fast as you can, and your partner really has to be able to follow all the things that are happening. And you should at some point, when the races are really close to 200, a lot of producer boats will fall in it. Basically, at the end of the race, you don't want to finish the race with 2 strokes because that's kind of like the slowest your boat is going. So what people do is they just keep bringing their paddle back at the end of the stroke and push the boat forward with their lower body. And so you need to make sure you do it at the same time. And so again, at the 200, that would be something doubles that you need to be planned beforehand and understand how and when you want to do that in the race.
Yeah, so usually crews will have some sort of verbal cue or something when they're going to time that finish, because for the 200 and the 500, they're all really big. The races can be won or lost in those final strokes.
And that's really insightful and something we'll certainly have to watch for today. I would go back to something you said earlier where you mentioned that at different clubs. So how did you end up racing together?
We actually went to Canada Games together. I would have been 15 and you were 14.
Yeah, 2005.
Yeah, so we were just so young, and I had known Amelia before that anyways, because she was a very good paddler, and we just clicked, and we raced the skating together, and that was our first gold medal at Canada Games, and started our relationship. We actually our relationship goes beyond paddling now. We continue together during the pandemic. We worked together. We even like started running, and we created our own marathon for ourselves. Half marathon for ourselves called the Halifax Club. In Halifax experience, we had a lot of serious races. We definitely had a lot of fun together, and I think that helps me become a fun
Maybe I'm stretching this a little bit, but we didn't always get as much support as we see today from the federation, and everything from training camps to finding your own partner and financing a lot of this training. Those really old days, so those were kind of DIY sports mindset.
Yeah, we really owe a lot to our coaches, Rob Barrett and Troy Moore, for helping us organize these camps at that time when we were really invited to with the national team, because we weren't technically on the national team. We were doing the best in the country. We had to organize these camps and that kind of thing. So that is pretty brutal when you have to also put in effort to figure out how you're actually going to train. It's great to see these girls really blossom and like get so much faster so quickly just by having that support and community in them.
Lifelong friendship within the team you have. And these things and coaches you have when you communicate with each other during your races that what is it on now?
We go back to when we were young teenagers, let's emphasize, young we were used at Canada Games actually for the first time in 2005. And we were racing 66,000, which is a 2-2 race. We actually do laps around the race course. You get pretty tired, and it's mentally exhausting as well. And you're coming around the corner on that last lap, and Jenna had some
like you get to be on a lake, you get to be outside in the sunny day, and like just take that in and appreciate that you have it. That is a great reminder. And actually, that brings us to our last question here. I want to ask you about darkness because we both don't just have a connection to this lake, but we're in the community here. So, what is it like to experience your hometown hosting a festival?
Well, it's last night we had the opening ceremonies, and it was kind of like a team reunion, a community reunion. Definitely a lot of Dartmouth paddlers and supporters that we ran into, but actually folks from all over Canada was coming to watch. And no matter where you're from in Canada, I think if you're a paddler in Dartmouth, it feels a bit like home. We all spend time racing on this lake in Banook. It really feels like a special place among all the race courses that we get to be on across Canada. There's something about this one, I think, even for people who didn't grow up here, that just, it has a real weight to it.
It's really in the heart of the community, right? Like, most of these race courses don't have neighborhood climbing up the hills surrounding them. It's like this really beautiful natural, like, rivers, swimming, cruising, around the course. And it's really just history that we're so proud of. The clubs here, I think there's somewhere else in the world that has 3 clubs on one lake and 2 run clubs. And the clubs that are over 100 years old. And it feels like this sport that teaches us that it teaches us traditions as well. So I think that there's something that like the lake and the year wants people to experience and appreciate. There's so much in here. Insights and a little bit more of your personal story with us. Thank you so much. Thank you to the ICF and who's worked so hard the past couple of years to put this together and have us here. It's been really special for Mariana.
Yeah, and best of luck this week to Katie, Julia, Julie, Sylvia, and so.
Amazing. Thank you both so much. And for everyone who is watching around the lake, we'll be back at 3 p.m. So in about 9 minutes here for the men's and KL2 200-meter event.
Semi-final 1. Lane 2, Uruguay. Lane 3, Nigeria. Lane 4, Argentina. Lane 5, Argentina. Lane 6, Japan. Lane 7, Canada. Lane 8,
Welcome back, everybody. We're about to get started here for the next race, which will take place at 2 p.m. In the KL2 men's 200 meters semi-final. Before we get started, just a quick announcement of the spectator area. After the morning, lots of bank cards behind the plus the information coming against chapter 4 is still around. Bank card is behind the big map. As the information. Okay, so moving on now to the next race on the men's KL2 men's 200 meters semi-final. This is this morning, and this is within the next
So we'll have 7 athletes lining up here in this semi-final. In lane 2 from Uruguay, a newcomer on the world stage, Grutius Adan. In lane 3, also a new entrant on the world seed, from Nigeria, Timitope Olasupo. In lane 4, 45-year-old, first entry at the World Championship level from Argentina, Mariano Turner. In lane 5, the 10th place finisher in Tokyo last year at the Paralympics and 6th at the World Championships, 4th place earlier this year in Poznan and South American and Pan American champion from Argentina, Emilio Atamanuk. In lane 6, the Tokyo Paralympics 11th place finisher and 9th place at the 2021 Paracanoe World Cup from Japan, Hiromi Tatsumi. In lane 7, representing Canada and the Balmy Beach Canoe Club, the semi-finalist from last year, the 2021 World Championships in Copenhagen in Denmark, and bronze of the 2018 Pan American Championships right here on Lake Banook, from Canada, Stefan Samoila. And in lane 8, the semi-finalist of the 2022 Poznan World Cup, who started paddling in 2017 and has a college baseball background from the United States, Michael Ballard. So once again, the top 3 in this event, in this race, will be making their way directly to the A final, and the rest will be out. So we should expect a quick race here this afternoon. So we're about to get underway in about 2 minutes here in the semi-final of the KL2 men's 200 meters as athletes are just approaching the start area. In lane 2, Uruguay, lane 3, Nigeria, lane 4, Argentina, lane 5, Argentina, lane 6, Japan, lane 7, Canada, and in lane 8, the United States.
Okay, that's 1 minute to start. Count forward to the start line. Just hold it, paddlers. Just relax. We have one more paddler. One more paddler coming. Any more peddlers, use your backpack. We're waiting on one more peddler.
Just holding up the start here for a minute as the athlete from Nigeria just makes his way down to the start line. Just approaching the 250 now, so we'll be there in just a minute. Once again, we'll have in lane 2 from Uruguay, lane 3 Nigeria, lane 4 Argentina, lane 6 Japan, lane 7 Canada, and lane 8 the United States in the semifinal of the KL2 200 meter.
Line 8 forward. Forward 3. Thank you, peddlers. All hold your positions. All hold. Ready. Set.
And we are underway in the semifinals. Strong start for lane 5 from Argentina. Emilio Banook really taking the lead early here in this semifinal. Once again, top 3 making their way to the final. Looks like Argentina, Japan, and Canada in the mix here as we're approaching the halfway point of this 200 meter race. Entering the last 100 does look like Argentina really putting a strong lead here. Emilio Banook once again 10th place in Tokyo last year and 6th in the world, and showing that he's the class of the semi-final field. Strong race here as he's coming into the finish. Japan, Hiromi Tatsumi here just closing out a 2nd place, and then Mariano Turner in his first World Championship closing out 3rd place here that will take him into the A final. 4th place for Canada's Stefan Samoila here in this semifinal. Just see the difference in rates between a few of the athletes. And Emilio just really leaning forward and generating a lot of power and connection. Highest rate here in the field, and able to really use his body to generate some connections and drive the boat forward as he's going through. So exciting to see what he'll be able to do in the A final later this week.
We are just waiting for confirmation of the results there. But up next, we have another semifinal heat, the women's VL3. And as we look deeper into the draw today, we have 3 more Paracanoe semifinals and then a series of heats in the women's K1 500 meter event. And here we are with the final results. So Argentina taking 1st place, Japan in 2nd, and Argentina in 3rd, followed by Canada in 4th place.
Yeah, so continuing for Stefan Samoila here to develop and push towards the top level of the men's KL2. So great to see a good result here. I'm sure he'll be a little bit disappointed to not crack the A final, but continuing to progress under the leadership of the national team here. So great to see a good result and more to come for sure. And as we're transitioning into the VL3 Women 200, again, 1 semifinal, top 3 will make it directly to the final. We saw these athletes earlier today, again, in the heats. So some of these names might start to sound a little bit familiar as you're starting to recognize some of the top athletes racing. We'll have 6 athletes here competing for the top 3 spots, which will advance automatically to the A final, and the rest of the athletes will be out. So in lane 2, 7th at Worlds last year and multiple-time World Championship finalist from Hungary, Juliana Toth. In lane 3, the 19-year-old in her first appearance on the international circuit this year from Australia, Amy Ralph. In lane 4, also a first appearance at the World Championship, the 30-year-old from Uzbekistan, Muklisa Eshmirazbaya. In lane 5, the bronze medalist in the 2020 Szeged World Cup from Israel, Talia Eilat. In lane 6, the 21-year-old 6th of the 2019 World Championship from Nigeria, Bosede Omoboni. And in lane 7, the 30-year-old semi-finalist from last year's World Championship, Japan's Shiho Miyajima. And we're underway in this semi-final. Strong start from Israel's Talia Eilat here in the middle lane in lane 5. Also looking strong is Australia and Uzbekistan as they're coming in through the first half of this race. Again, the top 3 in this event will be advancing to the A final, so they're really a lot of incentive on the line. You'll see the athletes steering a little bit. Wind is still fairly straight and conditions favorable for racing here, but as they're entering the 100-meter point at the halfway, it looks like Australia, Uzbekistan, and Israel are taking the first 3 position at this point, but strong push from Nigeria's Bosede Omoboni in the second half. And approaching the last 50 meters, it does look like Uzbekistan, Muklisa Eshmirzaeva is making a push for the win over Australia's Amy Ralph. And then that 3rd place still open, but it does look like Israel, Talia Eilat will be completing the top 3 and will be the athletes that will be qualifying for the A final later this week. Rounding out the field here is lane 7, Japan Shiho Miyajima. So great from all these athletes in this semifinal. Great performance, and looking forward to this A final that will bring some of the top level athletes in the VL3 women 200 meters. So great racing here by all the athletes, and then Uzbekistan, Australia, and Israel taking the top 3. And we'll just get confirmation of the times here in a second in a 108.91. A great result here in a slight headwind on Lake Banook this afternoon.
Coming up next, we have a pair of semifinals in the men's KL3 event. The top 3 in each will earn a spot in the A final.
So here's the start list for the KL3 men's 200-meter first semi-final. Full semis here coming out the heats, so it should be some very exciting racing as we're set to get going. So again, the top 3 will be making it directly to the A final. 4th to 7th, and 1 best time will go to the B final. In lane 1, we have the 18-year-old from Chile, first time racing at the World Championships, Marcelo Gonzalez. Lane 2, the 21-year-old World Cup B finalist from 2018 from Argentina, Marcos Dominguez. In lane 3, 11th in Tokyo, 7th at last year's World Championship, Italy's Quazzo Klokpa. In lane 4, 13 in the Tokyo Paralympics and 7th in the Paralympic qualifier, New Zealand's Corbin Hart. In lane 5, 10th in Tokyo and semi-finalist in Rio from Poland, Matthias Serwilo. In lane 6 from Canada, Gabriel Bouilly, the 19-year-old and really improving quickly, representing the Rideau Canoe Club. In lane 7, the 2019 World Championship semi-finalist John Wallace from the United States. In lane 8, the 29-year-old from Mexico, Eduardo Sanchez. And then lane 9, the 34-year-old who competed at the 2021 World Cup in Szeged, Jorge Obispo from Uruguay. And a really strong start here as we're approaching halfway into this race by Matthias Servillo from Poland, but also seeing Corbin Hart and Kwatso Klokwa really pushing strong here as they're entering the last 50 meters of this race. Again, the top 3 making it directly to the A final. And winner here in this first semifinal, Matthias Servillo from Poland, advancing to the A final later this week.
He's looking pretty relaxed for someone who just worked that hard.
Yeah, and great start. It looks like there might have been a bit of an issue in lane 8, just getting off the line here for Eduardo Sanchez from Mexico. Still coming down the course at this point, so as he's getting in his first World Championships, adjusting to the level and everything, but great to see him out here completing some of the field in the KL race, the KL3 race. Again, such power developed by these athletes and able to go so incredibly fast in these wider boats and wider kayaks in the KL category. Great shot here of Matthias Servillo. Again, bronze in Poznan earlier this year, so would expect that he would be in the A final and in the mix for a medal later this week.
Absolutely. This is one of the many finals we really have to look forward to, and getting a little taste of what's to come in the semifinals here.
Yeah, and it looks like Gabriel Bouy from Canada took a 5th place here, which will put him in the B final, so we'll get to see him again in this event. Again, he picked up para-kayaking only a few years ago, and so rapidly improving, really bright future in front of him, so excited to see what he can do in the B final later this week. So just waiting for confirmation of the results here before we get set to get underway in the second semifinal. There you are, the results are just now up and available. So confirmation for Poland, New Zealand, and Italy moving to the A final. The USA, Canada, and Argentina and Chile will be moving, and then we'll have to wait for Uruguay on the second semifinal, given that the best 8 time will be advancing as well. So coming up is the second semifinal of the KL3 men 200-meter race. Again, eight athletes here vying for the top 3 to enter into the A final. 4th to 7th and 1/8 best time will be going to the B final. In lane 2, we have the 48-year-old 2021 World Championship semi-finalist from Japan, Koichi Imai. In lane 3, the 28-year-old multiple World Championship semi-finalist from Israel, Ron Halevi. In lane 4, 9th of the 2021 World Championships and 2017 bronze medalist, world champion in VL3 in 2017 from Great Britain, Jonathan Young. In lane 5, the Paralympic 8th place finisher in Tokyo and 8th of the 21 World Championship, 4th earlier this year in Poznan and bronze in 2020 in Szeged from Hungary, Eric Kiss. The 26-year-old and 14th place of the 2019 World Championship is in lane 6 from Uzbekistan, Kasan Kudashev. In lane 7, the 36-year-old B finalist in 2016 and 2014 from Senegal, Edmond Sanka. In lane 8 from Nigeria, Sunday Olawoni. And in lane 9 from Mexico, Omar Jimenez. And we have a start in the second semifinal of the men's KL3 here on Lake Banook this afternoon. Strong start from the Hungarian Eric Kiss and Jonathan Young from Great Britain, and also Uzbekistan Kasan Kuldashev. Again, the top three advancing to the A final here. Approaching the last 100 meters, it looks to be the UK's paddler, Great Britain's paddler, with the lead at the moment, but a strong push from Uzbekistan as well coming into the last few meters. So convincing win here from Jonathan Young. Again, pleased with the race as he's entering the A final, so congratulations. And then Eric Kiss from Hungary and Kasan Kuldashev from Uzbekistan joining him in the A final. Should be a really exciting event. This is always one of the main events in the para program. It's certainly very exciting given the high level of these paddlers. So looking forward to that A final and crowning a world champion this week. We'll have to wait for the official results to know who's advancing to the B final as well, given that there are some time consideration between the first and the second heat. So we should have that for you in just a few minutes. But as we enjoy some of those replays from the last race, but yeah, great shot here of Jonathan Young as he was entering the last few meters of the race.
I love going from the focus and determination there to that smile and relief after the finish line. There it is.
Finals, confirmation of Great Britain's Jonathan Young, Uzbekistan, and Hungary moving to the A final. Israel, Senegal, Japan, and Nigeria moving to the B final. So great to see all these athletes race, and looking forward to those finals a little bit later this week.
Absolutely, and a huge thank you to the Village Shops at Dartmouth Crossing. They have provided parking solutions for volunteers and spectators here at the 2022 World Championships at Lake Banook. We're now going to return to K1 action. We have 4 heats of the women's 500-meter event. With so many entrants, there's no direct way to the finals. So the athletes are looking to finish in the top 6. That will ensure they get a spot in the semis, with the 7 fastest seventh place finishers across all heats also advancing.
Yeah, and that next event is going to take place at 3:30, so they're about a 10-minute pause. We'll be back with you just 5 minutes before that race to go through the lanes and the announcements. So back in a few minutes.
So a lot at stake here, Kiel.
Yeah, and this event's on the Olympic program, and it's been basically the marquee event of the women's K1 for a number of years, so certainly a lot's at stake. Looking to Olympic champions coming in and a world medalist, but also some newcomers onto the scene. So as we start a new Olympic quad, it'll be great to see who's putting their name in contention as we head into Paris in 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. And nice that we get a little taste of it here at the World Championships on Lake Banook. And the weather's changing a little bit here.
Yeah, getting a little cloudier. The wind is kind of picking up and dying down a little bit, but it seems fairly flat and consistent. Fair racing conditions out there. I mean, all these athletes are used to various and variable conditions, so it looks quite ideal. A little bit of a headwind, so would expect a little bit slower times maybe than if you had a strong tailwind out there. But again, athletes used to this, they know this can happen. Races can vary quite a bit based on the wind, either tail or headwind. There could be a 20-30 second difference sometimes even, so got to train for a variety of outcomes, but still looks quite manageable out there in fair racing between lane 1 and lane 9.
And it might be nice to have a little break from that intense sun for them as well.
Yeah, for sure, and we'll see a number of athletes here start to double up. Athletes that would have raced maybe in the women's K4 or the K2s earlier and now lining up in K1. So again, that load of multiple races will start to accumulate. So again, if they were able to go directly to the final this morning, it will help their program and their schedule over the next few days. So this K1 500 should be quite exciting over the next 4 races.
Looking forward to it.
So we're about 3 minutes away from the start, an event that, as you may expect, has been dominated by the Hungarians and the Germans, and recently New Zealand, with Lisa Carrington being the Olympic champion in this event, and Amy Fisher, the world champion from last year in 2021. We're about to get underway here in the first heat of the women's K1, and the start list is now available. So in lane 2, we'll have the 3-time junior world champion and 2021 under-23 K4 500 world champion, also the world champion in marathon paddling, so quite versatile, Hungary's Esther Rendesi. In lane 3, we'll have the veteran of the South African team who's been racing on the international circuit since 2013, coming off C final results earlier this year at the World Cup, from South Africa, Esti Oliver. In lane 4, 12th in Tokyo at the Olympics in the K1 200 and the 2018 K1 200 under-23 bronze medalist from China, Mengdi Yin. In lane 5, the 4-time Olympian and also the K4 200 bronze medalist from 2009 in Dartmouth. Bronze in Richitse earlier this year in this event from Portugal, Teresa Portela. In lane 6, 6th in Tokyo last year in this event, bronze medalist in the K2 500 at the 2021 World Championships, 4th in Poznan earlier this year from Belgium, Hermione Peters. In lane 7, semi-finalist at last year's World Championship and silver at the 2021 Asian Olympic qualifier from Singapore, Jexian Chen. And in lane 8, the Junior World bronze medalist in this event in 2017 and K2 500 bronze medalist as well in 2015. She's also the 2021 World Cup 6th place finisher in Barnaul in Russia. From Mexico, Beatriz Briones. Athletes are now in the starting gates, and we'll just get underway here in a few minutes. It should be a fast and furious one here as we get started in the women's K1 500-meter first heat. And we are underway in the first heat of the women's K1 500 meters, expecting a really fast start from a number of these athletes. And in the 500, there's really 2 ways to do this. You could fly and die and go really hard off the line and hope to hang on, or you could be a little slower and really try to pick up in the second half and play to your strength. So it'll be interesting to see who's using what kind of strategy here. But the 500 is just a painful event where you have to tolerate a lactic acid. So it should be a really exciting race for everyone to see here in the K1 500. So approaching the first 200 meters, it does look like Hungary and actually a number of athletes are all neck and neck here as we're still going through. The 500 is always a really close event, so we'll have to wait for the split timing here to get a sense of who's ahead at the midway point. And it does look like China, followed by Belgium and Hungary, with Portugal being very close by. Again, no one going directly to the final here, but positions do matter as they slot you into different semifinals. So everyone will be pushing all the way to the line here to secure their spot into the semifinals. We're seeing some of the athletes starting to pick up their rate here as they're approaching the red buoys, signaling the last 100 meters of this race. Again, they'll be fighting for position here as we're coming to the close of this first heat of the women's K1 500 meters. Those positions will influence which semifinal they find their way in, and that's a crucial part of how they will make their way to the A final a little bit later this week. So strong finish here by the Belgium athlete as she's coming in, and then the Hungarian and the Chinese. It does look like a really tight finish here for the gold, for the first place. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit with the finals, but such a close race here that it does feel like a final sometimes with the quality of the field.
Yeah, does it ever? You could really see them driving towards the finish line there.
Yeah, so great race here by Hermine Peters from Belgium in lane 6. Looks like she may have been able to edge out Hungary's Esther Rendesi, but we'll have to wait for confirmation here. Very close between the two of them. Actually, it does look like Esther may have been the one who just edged out Hermine Peters, so again, telling you how close this race was. We'll wait for the official timing to confirm things, but great start here by all of the athletes. It does look like the Hungarian actually might have been held up a little bit as she got started, but was able to put it back together and then get this race underway. Again, having experience and being junior world champion in marathon canoeing, I'm sure the fact that the race is still a little bit longer, she had to recover and adapt is a skill that she does possess. But great racing here, and at the 200, China actually was in the lead, and followed by Belgium and then Hungary.
It's really a testament to how much things can change in just a short amount of time there.
We'll see here, just as these two athletes are coming to the line, and is Hungary just taking the win over Belgium by a small margin, and China coming in third place. And we do have confirmation again, as we were talking about, very close between first and second, 0.05 as we kind of make their way from the athletes for the semifinal here. So we'll have to wait once all of these have gone to know who's advancing and not based on the times, but the 6 first athletes here moving on to the semifinals. And we're getting ready to go here in the second K1 women's 500 meter heat. In just a few minutes, athletes are just lining up now. In lane 1, we'll have the 2017 Junior World Championship semifinalist from Japan, Yuri Urata. In lane 2, the Tokyo 2020 Olympian K1 500 and 200 and member of the K4 500 for Team GB over the last quad, Emily Lewis. In lane 3, the 2021 Senior World Championship B finalist and the under-23 entry for the Netherlands in 2017 to 2019 in K1 from the Netherlands, Ruth Vorselman. In lane 4, the 2-time Olympian and 2-time Olympic medalist in this event, silver in Rio and bronze in Tokyo, Denmark's Emma Jorgensen. In lane 5, the defending Olympic champion in this event, the 3-time Olympian winning 6 medals, including 5 golds. She's a 10-time world champion and has a total of 23 World Championships medals, New Zealand's Lisa Carrington. In lane 6, 9th at the World Championships in 2021 and silver medalist in K1000 at the Under-23 World Championship. 6th in Ročice earlier from the Czech Republic, Aneska Paludova. In lane 7, semi-finalist earlier this year in Poznan and Ročice from Finland, Netta Malinen. And in lane 8, the 21-year-old member of the sprint and marathon team and 4th in the 5K earlier this year in Poznan from Sweden, Rebecca Gorksdotter. Again, expecting a great showdown here from the middle lanes, 3, 4, and 5 as we're set to get underway in the second heat. And it does look like we may have had a false start in this heat, so we'll have the athletes regroup and get ready to go as they round back up, and we'll have to wait to get who this false start gets attributed. Likely the Czech Republic in lane 6. Looks like she may have just jumped a little bit, Aneska Paludova, but we'll have to wait for confirmation. And there you go, confirm the Czech Republic with the false start in the second heat of the women's K1 500. So the athletes will just circle back and then we'll get ready to get underway.
And while we're just waiting for the reset here, just a reminder to those of you who are watching the races live today that you can support our beverage partners and stay hydrated. Of course, Nine Locks Brewery, Lake City Cider, and Coldstream Distillery are all in the festival area that is near the finish line, and you can get your cool drinks there anytime this afternoon.
The athletes are just circling back up here and getting lined up again. Once again in the second heat, we'll have in lane 1, Japan, in lane 2, Great Britain, in lane 3, the Netherlands, in lane 4, Denmark, lane 5, New Zealand, lane 6, the Czech Republic, lane 7, Finland, and in lane 8, Sweden. Keep your eyes on the middle lanes here for some really, really fast and world-class racing. Some Olympic medalists in this event from the previous games, so exciting to see them go head-to-head here between Emma Jorgensen and Lisa Carrington. As expected, Lisa having a really, really fast start. She's basically been dominating the 200-meter event in the last few years, or almost a decade now. But really, really solid in the start of the race and has quite the pedigree and looking to take the 500 title here again this year. Also looks like a strong race so far from lane 2, Emily Lewis from Great Britain. Again, a Tokyo 2020 Olympian in the 500 and 200. Really strong showing in Tokyo. And then coming on strong here 200 meters through the race. So we'll almost get halfway here and get a sense of who's where based on the split time. But it does look like Lisa Carrington is currently about a boat ahead. And then Emma Jorgensen, Emily Lewis, and Anexa Paludova from the Czech Republic. So those 4 athletes being quite close. So it does look like the Czech Republic making a move here, moving into second place with 200 meters to go. But Lisa Carrington in control in this second heat of the women's K1 500 meters. And entering the last 100, it does look like Lisa Carrington is still in the lead, but it looks like the Czech Republic athlete, Paludova, is actually picking up the rate and trying to mount the challenge. Similar with lane 7, Finland's Netta Malinen starting to challenge Emma Jorgensen and Emily Lewis. So athletes will have to pick up the rate a little bit to pick up their a good spot here in their heat that will drive where they are in the semifinals. But no doubt about Lisa Carrington taking the win here in the second heat, followed by the Czech Republic and then Great Britain and Denmark.
And Carrington really looking calm, cool, collected through that whole race. We got a little bit of a smile there at the end.
Yeah, certainly first step towards the final, semifinals, and eventually the finals, and hoping to see her in top form as she's one of the main challenger for this title here this week.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see her here just focused throughout that whole race.
And great to see Anexka Paludova here with a strong result. Fun fact about her, she's also a multiple world champion in wild water canoeing, so I'm probably quite used to the rough waters a little bit. So the calm water is probably fine out there, but if it was wavy, I'm sure she'd be one of the ones to watch for as well. So we'll have to keep our eyes on her for the entire week. This lake can get quite wavy and windy if the wind's coming up, so we'll have to see if that's something that might actually play to her skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting how one person's strength can be another person's weakness in those situations.
Yeah, and close racing here for some of the 5th to 7th kind of places. Again, important here as people are advancing to the semifinals and then eventually the finals. But yeah, great celebration, and happy for Lisa Carrington here, who raced earlier in the K4 for New Zealand. And we do have confirmation here, New Zealand followed by Czech Republic and Great Britain. We'll have to wait for Sweden, Rebecca Cork's daughter, to see if she's advancing based on her time.
This seems like a good time to give a big shout out to our community sponsors for their support: Downtown Dartmouth, Develop Nova Scotia, and Halifax Water. All right, let's take a look at who's in Heat 3, PL.
Yeah, so the start list is now available. So in lane 2, and we do have a start, so we'll just go quickly, but in lane 3, Argentina, lane 4, Spain, lane 5, Germany, lane 6, Australia, lane 7, Egypt, and in lane 8, Italy. So fast start here. We'll talk about the athletes when the race is concluded. But strong start from Italy here as we're going through, as well as Australia and Germany as we'd expect. So Isabel Contreras here on the screen, 9th in Tokyo last year in the K1 500, so lots of experience. Uli Hake here, again, Olympian last year, 5th in K4 500, so very, very used to the K4, to the 500 meter distance. And it's a close race here. We do have about 3 athletes that are in contention, but it does look like Australia at about halfway, and then followed by Germany, and then Spain are coming in strong. Approaching the 200, Australia, Germany, Spain, and then it looks like Argentina's Brenda Rojas, the 2-time Olympian, is currently sitting in 4th place. And then 5th is Italy's Irene Borgo, a specialist 1,000 meter. A nice shot here of Alyssa Boole, the 2-time Olympian, and also 6th in Poznan earlier in the 500. But it's getting a little bit tighter here as we're entering the last 100 meter of this race. Germany making a bit of a push here as we're closing this race, and Spain just not letting up at all. So it should be a close finish here between these 3 athletes. And just getting to the finish here, it does look like Australia takes the win, followed by Germany and then Spain, and then Argentina comes in, followed by Italy. So great race here by Elisa Boole, the 2-time Olympian, and closing this one and moving on to the semifinal in the K1 500. Great composure and power here from the German athlete, really solid throughout the race. And then this race basically looked and stayed the same from the get-go, with these 3 athletes continuing. But I'm sure this slight headwind played to Alyssa's strength, having been a really great athlete in the 1,000 meter event as well, earlier this year and previously. So Great race here in the third heat of the women's K1 500 meters.
Yeah, all three heats have been really exciting. We've got one more to go in the K1 500 meter event. And a huge thank you to all of the volunteers out there who are making this event possible, and to our volunteer sponsors, Support for Sport.
And we do have confirmation of the result: Australia, Germany, and Spain coming in the top three. All athletes here advancing to the semifinals. So a bit less pressure, given that there were only 6 athletes on the line, so they were guaranteed advancement. Again, you still want to fight for the right position so that you're slotted in the right semifinal. And we're just about to get underway in the 4th heat of the K1 Women 500 meter event. In lane 2, we'll have the 2021 B finalist in K1 200 meters of the Under-23 World Championship, and also athlete who had strong results in K2 and K4 earlier this year on the World Cup circuit, from the United States, Callie Wilding. In lane 3, the 2-time Olympian with a best finish of 7th in K2 500 in Tokyo, 4th in the B final last year at the World Championship. Extremely versatile, having raced K1, K2, K4, and reached multiple A finalists, and also experienced in 7-time world champion in wild water canoeing, from France, Manon Restin. In lane 4, the 2013 Under-23 world champion in K1 200 and 2020 Tokyo Olympian, representing the Aquatic Club, Canada's Michelle Russell. In lane 5, the Tokyo Olympian in K2 500 and K1 500, the 3-time World Championship medalist in K2, Slovenia's Anja Osterman. In lane 6, 10th place is last year's World Championship and has been a consistent finalist in the Under-23 group, Croatia's Ana Maria Govorcinovic. And finally, in lane 8, the K2 and K4 specialist, bronze medalist in the K2 200 last year at the World Championship, Poland's Dominika Puto. And we're just about to get underway. Again, only 6 athletes here on the start line for this race, so everyone will be advancing automatically, but still all to fight for places and which semifinal they will fall into. A great start here from Michelle Russell and Anja Osterman in lane 5. As we're approaching 200 meters into the race, it does look like Anja Osterman, the silver medalist from the World Cup in Rachice earlier this year, has a slight edge over Michelle Russell from Canada. So still pushing quite strong here as we're approaching the halfway point. And then coming in third at the halfway point is Croatia, and in 4th, Poland. So at the 200-meter mark, it does look like Slovenia, followed by Canada, followed by Croatia, and then Poland and France. We're having a bit of a late push here from lane 6, Ana Maria Govorcinovic, trying to mount the challenge on Canada's Michelle Russell here as we're entering the last 100 meters of this race. Same with Poland, and Dominika Puto also pushing strong as we're coming into the last meter of this race. So coming into the finish here, it is Slovenia, followed by Canada, Croatia, and then very close for 4th place between France and Poland. But great racing here by Anja Osterman, taking the win in the 4th heat of the women's K1. Once again, really strong start from lane 4 and 5 here, setting the pace right away and really putting their mark down. High rate, building a lot of speed, Michelle's got some wheels under her, world champion in the 200 and the under 23, so great to see her get off the line and keep enough endurance throughout the race to come up with a second place here.
Yeah, absolutely. You can hear everyone cheering for her out there as well.
Yeah, but just controlled by Anya here as she's taken the win here in this heat. She'll be one of the challengers this week, very experienced. Again, Olympian last year in K2 500 and K1 500. And a 3-time world championship medalist in K2. So now it's pivoting to K1 a little bit more, and then looks to set her sight on a world championship medal.
So after we get the final results here, we're moving into 3 heats of the men's C1 500 meter event. And there we go with the final results there. Bill?
Yeah, so just confirmation of Anya Osterman taking the win here. Everyone advancing to the semifinal, given there are only 6 athletes in this race. But again, positions do matter for the semifinal. So great to see Canada's Michelle Russell coming in second place here, and then we'll be excited to see her in the semifinals.
Absolutely, definitely a preview of some exciting finals to come here. So in the men's C1 500 meter, we have 3 heats. The winners of each of these heats will progress directly to the finals, and finishers 2 through 7 will head to the semis.
Yeah, and the C1 500 meter event is not on the Olympic program. The race is the C1000. The C2 is the 500 meter. So this race has been on the Olympic program before, and certainly holds a lot of still big credentials for people that win this event. So we don't necessarily see everybody lining up in this race, but winning the 500 is a testament that you're a great paddler in the canoe race. So lots of the top paddlers are still getting and competing this week in this race. So it'll be great to see how what forms they're in before the 1,000 meter heats that will take place a little bit later. So in this first heat of the C1 500 meters, again, first directly to the A final, we'll have in lane 2 the 2019 B finalist in the C1 1,000 meter at the under 23 World Championship from Japan, Aoto Yabu. In lane 3, the 21-year-old semi-finalist in this event last year, the World Championship, and also paddled to a number of A final finishes in C1, C2, and C4 of the junior and under 23 group, is Spain's Manuel Fontan. In lane 4, the 2021 under 23 world champion in C1000 and world championship silver medalist in C4 500 in 2019 from Germany, Moritz Adam. In lane 5, the 2-time Olympian and world record holder and 2-time world champion in this event, Martin Fuchsa from the Czech Republic. In lane 6, the 2016 Rio Olympian and silver medalist back in this event in 2019 from Bulgaria, Angel Kovinov. In lane 7, the Tokyo 2020 8th plate finisher in the C1000 and the winner of the Asian Olympic qualifier last year from China, Pengfei Zhang. In lane 8, the B finalist in C1000 last year, the World Championship from Slovakia, Matej Rusnak. And in lane 9, the 2020 Olympian and 11th in C1000, 3 times under 23 world silver medalist in C2 and the 2016 junior silver medalist in C1000 from Romania, Cătălin Cirila. And we're underway here in the C1 500 meters. I think the biggest thing to note here is that the rate has increased so much over the last few years in this event, and athletes are just able to maintain such a high cadence that it almost looks like a 200 meter, but over a 500. So great shot here of Martin Fuchsa and Cătălin Cirila as they're getting off the line here and entering kind of their travel pace here in the 500 meter event. Cătălin Cirila had some really good races earlier this year, silver in Rachice and Poznan. So he's been challenging Martin Fuchsa, who's won every single World Cup C1 race this year. So he should be top of the field here as we're getting ready to go. But great race so far by Angel Kovinov, actually challenging here for the lead as we're getting to the halfway point in this race. So it does look like it is Kovinov actually ahead of Fuchsa and Cătălin Cirila from Romania out here in lane 9. And the Romanian really mounting a challenge here as he's getting halfway in the last 200. So it does look like Romania, Bulgaria, and then the Czech Republic. Once again, winner from this heat will be moving directly to the final, so taking that win does bring a lot of benefits as you get to skip the semifinals later this week. And seeing Martin Fuchsa now just getting back into the mix, picking up the rate, trying to mount the challenge here, but really, really strong race here from the Romanian so far out in lane 9. Bulgaria's Angel Kordinov coming in second so far, and Martin Fuchsa just picking up the rate, trying to come back a little bit here on these early leaders. Should be set up here for a really close finish for this win, but it does look like Bulgaria Romania, does take this, and Bulgaria edges out Martin Fuchsa here from the Czech Republic for second place. So Kathleen Chirila will be advancing directly to the A final in the C1 500 meters, and you can see how much effort that actually took to go and defeat a world champion and world record holder in this event in Martin Fuchsa. Again, just getting to the 200-meter mark. Romania in control, very close. Angel Kordinov from Bulgaria, about a stroke behind. And Martin Fuchsa doing a lot of work in the last 200 meters to try to get back in contention, but too little, too late. And you can see he realized that and just kind of eased off in the last stroke or two, knowing that he wouldn't be taking the win here. So he'll have to go through the semifinals to make his way to the finals. But great shoot at the right time here from Romania, just to edge Bulgaria by about a nose and to make his way to the A final. In fourth place, China here.
What an exciting finish.
Yeah, so Kathleen Chirila at 150.2 will be moving on directly to the A final. The rest of the athletes going to the B final, and Aoto Yabu from Japan sadly will be eliminated from the C1 500.
We do have 2 more heats to go in the men's C1 500-meter heats. The next one features Canadian Andrew Billard. So as we take you to the start line, a huge thank you to our sponsors, Sport Canada, the province of Nova Scotia, and the Halifax Regional Municipality.
Yeah, so this should be an exciting race as well. Again, only 6 athletes lining up, so everyone will be advancing to the semifinal, but again, the winner will be going directly to the A final. So certainly a lot on the line for all of these athletes. So in lane 1, we have the 6th last year at the Under-23 World Championships in C2000 and B finalist in C1 200 at the 2019 Worlds from Mexico, Guillermo Corino. In lane 2, 4th at the 2021 World Cup in Brno, Russia in C2 500 and bronze at the 2017 World Cup in C1000 in Portugal. Actually, Colombia's Sergio Diaz, but I don't know if Sergio is racing in this race today. In lane 3, we have the American representative who spent the summer training with the Germans and competes for the Washington Canoe Club, B finalist in this event back in 2019 and in Poznan earlier this year, from the US, Ian Ross. In lane 4, 12th at the 2021 Under-23 World Championship and silver medalist in C1000 at the 2017 Junior World Championship, from Latvia, Robert Laksins. In lane 5, the Tokyo 2020 and Rio 2016 Olympian, 11th in this event at the 2019 World Championship in 2019, from Ukraine, Pavlo Altakov. In lane 6, making his first appearance at the Senior World Championship, Andrew's bringing a lot of international experience, having raced this event on the World Cup circuit earlier this year and coming 7th in Poznan. 4th place finish in C2000 at the 2021 U23 World Championship, representing the Masqua Aquatic Club in Halifax, Canada's Andrew Billard. So only 5 athletes taking the start here in this race. Should be an interesting race, a little bit more open for the top spot here. And we're off, and it does look like a really great start from Pavlo Altakov here from Ukraine, coming off the line really fast, similar with Latvia, Robert Laksins. Andrew Billard is known for his really strong finishes in the second half of his race, so we'll see if he's able to keep pace here with some of the top names and then make a move in the second half of this race. And as we're approaching halfway here, it does look like Pavlo Altikov is currently about half a boat ahead of Latvia's Robert Laknin. And then a bit of a fight here for third place between Andrew Billard, Ian Ross, and the Mexican Guillermo Corino. So at halfway, Ukraine, and followed by Latvia, followed by Canada. Again, putting a strong challenge here in the second half, but it does look like Pavlo Altikov has this race under control as he's looking to qualify directly into the A final. With the last 150 meters, though, Andrew Billard looks like he's raising his stroke rate here to try to mount the challenge in the last few meters and try to catch up and secure either win or the second place here. So great racing so far by him as he's coming into the last 100 meters. As we're approaching the last 50 meters here, it does look like Ukraine in control and closing this second heat of the men's C1 500 meters. But really close race here for second and third between Latvia and Canada, and close as well for fourth between the USA and Mexico. So Battle of the Americas here should make for an exciting Pan American Championship in the 500. But congratulations to Pavlo Altikov here, taking first place in the C1 500 and advancing directly to the final in the second heat. And again, just very long strokes here from Pavlo, being able to keep the glide of the boat as he was entering the last 200 meters, ensuring he's not shortening his stroke, even though it starts to get a little bit more painful. You can see that surge of the boat continuing to drive forward. So he'll be one to watch as we head into the finals later this week. We have confirmation of those results. So Pavlo Altikov taking the win in a 155.4, followed by Latvia and Canada. Ian Ross and Guillermo Corino will all be advancing to the semifinal and to be contested later this week and try to make a spot for themselves into the A final.
And as we head into the final heat of the men's C1 500 meter, Canoe 22 would like to thank our bronze sponsors, East Coast Credit Union and Bell Media, for their support.
Thanks, Priya. And then, so as you mentioned, this will be the last heat of the men's C1 500 meters. Again, first the final to the seventh to the semifinal. So we will be having some exciting races. In lane one from Tunisia, we have Gaylene Katali. In lane two, the 2021 silver medalist in C4 500 and the 2019 world champion in U23 world champion in C2 500, Poland's Aleksander Kituski. In lane three, the semi-finalist last year at the World Championships and B finalist in 2019. He's an under 23 and junior world finalist in C1000 from Estonia, Josef Karlsson. In lane four, the Rio 2016 1,000-meter finalist and two-time World Championship medalist in this event, including bronze in 2021. He's a three-time under 23 World Championship medalist from Italy, Carlo Tacchini. In lane five, the four-time Olympic medalist in Tokyo C1000 Olympic champion. He's a six-time world champion and 12 times world championship medalist. He's won this event back in 2018 and 2014 from Brazil, Ezequias dos Santos. In lane six, the Tokyo 2020 Olympian in C2000 and C2000 and C1000. He's the under 23 world championship finalist from Hungary, Daniel Ferres. In lane 8 from Chinese Taipei, Huan Lai is the second in C1000 at the Asian Olympic qualifier last year and 9th in this event in 2019. So once again, first the final, 2-7 to the semifinal. You'd expect a really strong race here from Brazil and Italy, and Hungary as they're challenging here for the win. And we have a start here, really, and we may have a false start actually. I was going to say really great start from Poland out in lane 2, but that might have been a false start here as we're getting ready. So the athletes will reset, and then we'll get ready to get underway again in this third heat of the C1 500. So it looks like the false start was actually in lane 5 from Brazil, so Ezequiel Santos taking his first false start here in the heat of the 500. He'll have to be careful as he lines back up in the restart of this race.
While we wait for that, PL, I'm wondering what the strategy is in situations where, you know, we've now seen some athletes who are competing across multiple events. So, you know, obviously a lot of benefit to getting those direct to final spots for some of them, but is there also some benefit to having that extra experience of those extra semifinals?
I think if you have less experience at the World Championships, then getting more reps is probably something good, as long as you're able to manage your effort and recover properly. For those most experienced paddlers, it's certainly kind of a known commodity and everything, so skipping a race is certainly an advantage, especially in hot weather that we have out there, and being able to get back to the hotel, recover air conditioning, eat at the right time. So I think if you can skip a race and go directly to a final, there's certainly something good about that. But there is some momentum that can happen from taking a win in a semifinal and kind of coming in hot to some extent, and then being able to carry that through to a final. So it can kind of go and play both ways. So we've seen semifinalist winners go on to take gold medals. So it's not an automatic that if you've kind of gone straight that you have an advantage.
And I think given some of these close races we've been seeing, it's certainly setting us up for some exciting finals in the days to come.
No, for sure. I think as today and tomorrow progress and we get through the heats and some of the semifinals and then start carrying to more final heavy days, we'll start seeing some momentum. And it's the same with teams as well. So you'll see teams start to win medals, and it creates a bit of a medal run where like they kind of build onto each other and all that. So certainly quite exciting as kind of that momentum starts to build. And then kind of countries are starting to do well. You know, the program's doing well, you feed on your teammates and all of that. So it'll be certainly some exciting few days that are coming up for all of us to enjoy at Canoe 22. So we're just getting ready to go here again in lane 1 from Tunisia, lane 2 Poland, lane 3 Estonia, lane 4 Italy, lane 5 Brazil, lane 6 Hungary, and then lane 8 Chinese Taipei. And we're off now. Clean start here in this race. Can see lane 5 maybe took it a little bit more cautiously with the false start, knowing that he has a bit of energy to spare. But good start here from lane 2 from Poland, Aleksander Kotowski. You can see the rate from Brazil really high right away. Ezequiel is a really, really good paddler at the 500, if not the best paddler out there at this event. So excited to see him on the water here. Carlo Tacchini, higher rate. You can see that through his paddling. One of the favorites here to take the win in this race. And we're approaching about 200 meters. It does look like Poland, Italy, and then Brazil being in contention so far in this race. Again, the winner here will be moving on directly to the final. So lots on the line, but we're approaching the halfway point here. It does look like maybe Brazil has started to take the lead slightly over then Italy and then Poland, and Hungary, pardon me. But very, very close. I think that Poland's also in here, probably missing from the split times. But Brazil started to come in. Ezequiel's in control now as he's closing in into the last 150 of the race. That's where he shines, being able to keep his glide together. Really, really good at tolerating that lactic acid in the second half of this race. And again, you can tell just the rate higher than the other athletes, able to tolerate a little bit more pain as he's entering the last 100 meters, but just technically so good and able to keep the boat gliding as we're coming through. So it does look like Brazil will be taking this automatic spot here to the A final. And great to hear from the crowd, the Brazilian crowd cheering on their athlete here and taking the win here and moving on to the A finals. So Brazilians here in the stands cheering on their athletes, and Italy coming second, followed by Poland, very, very close for fourth place. But saluting the crowd, Ezequiel Santos taking the win here in the third heat of the men's event.
Wow, those Brazilian fans are giving the Canadian fans a run for their money out there. That was a great cheering section. A great win for them too.
Yeah, recovering from that false start, so just being cautious off the line here, maybe giving a nose on his opponents, but able to control the race and kind of come back from behind to take that win. But great race here, and you can see from Carlo Tacchini just like gritting his teeth in the second half of this race. Nice shot here in the last 100. You can see the difference in glide between him and the other boats. That does make, he is the Tokyo 2020 Olympic champion in C1000, so, and a very, very good 500-meter paddler. But last few strokes here, commanding lead and just closing out the race, making sure that everything is good before lunging his boat and finishing up this 500.
You can see him looking left and right there, and you can see that there are no opponents in sight as he crosses the finish line.
Open water here, so we'll wait for the results, but 3 athletes making it straight through, Romania, Ukraine, and now Brazil, and then we'll have the semifinals to complete the field in the men's C1 500 meters.
So as we wait for that confirmation, that does wrap up the C1 500 heats, and coming up soon, we are going to crown the first champions with finals in the men's and women's VL1 events, taking us to the end of today's race schedule. Before that, we do have a lot of men's kayak action, 4 heats in the 1,000 meter event where athletes will be looking to place top 6 to ensure a spot in the semis.
And confirmation of the results here. Again, everyone advancing to the semi except Ezequiel, who will be moving directly to the A final in the third heat of the C1 men 500 meters. We're about to get underway in our first 1,000-meter events of the week. Again, the men's K1000 is the Olympic event, so certainly a prestigious event, and this is why we have so many entries from so many countries. Lots of excitement around this event. It is one of the marquee kind of blue ribbon event of this championship. World champion Fernando Pimenta from last year, and then Olympic champion and world record holder Belid Kopac. They're both here, so expecting a really good rivalry between those athletes, as well as some others that are coming up and want the challenge in this Paris Olympic cycle. And here's the start list for the first heat of the men's K1 1,000 meters. A full heat here of 9 athletes lining up. Again, 1 to 6 will be heading to the semifinal, and then 3 7th position best times will be going to the semifinal as well. Everybody else will be out as we progress through this event over the week. And actually, we're just underway here. We're just waiting for the camera to pan out to get us ready. But we do have in lane 1 Belize Armando Cruz. In lane 2, Mexico, Daniel Ledesma. In lane 3, Slovenia, Jost Zakrajcek. In lane 4, Lithuania, Andres Oliknik. In lane 5, Portugal, Fernando Pimenta. In lane 6, the Czech Republic, Josef Dostal. In lane 7, Finland's Eetu Kolimainen. In lane 8, Algeria's Ayub Hedra. And in lane 9, Singapore, Guang Teo. So a first 1,000-meter races here of this championship. See some really exciting races, about 3.5 minutes in this headwind. Again, nobody making it directly to the final, but those heats is quite common in the men's K1 1,000-meter, given the number of entry. But looks like a really strong start here from Fernando Pimenta, as you'd expect, given he's the world champion from last year, and then the 3-time Olympian and double Olympic medalist, including bronze in this event last year in Tokyo. Next to him, Lithuania, Andres Oliknik, also having a strong race, as well as Josef Dostal in lane 6 in that yellow boat. Dostal is also a 4-time Olympic medalist and 3 times Olympian, and he's won the K1 500 in 2017 and 2018, so lots of experience in K1. But Pimenta's been one of the top athletes, if not the top athlete in K1000 over the Tokyo quadrennial, and certainly exciting to see him on the water this year and going for another quad. So at the 500-meter mark, it does look like Pimenta, followed by Dostal, followed by Oliknik from Lithuania, with Slovenia's Jost Zakrajcek in 4th place. And Pimenta does like to lead from the front, so coming off right away off the line, taking the lead and trying to maintain as he's coming through. He's been known to race that way in the 1,000. Certainly a racing style we've seen in the 500 before, but in the 1,000, certainly hard to maintain that lead as you're going through. But that approach is really known for him, and it's worked for him really well over the last few years. It's a really controlled rate here as he's gliding his K1 across the water, ensuring that the boat doesn't come back down, and is driving a lot of glide and generating a lot of power through the race here. But he's entering about the last 250 as we're kind of coming through. We can disregard those split time at the moment, given those are from the 500. There we go. At the 250, Pimenta's actually in first, but followed by Czech and then Lithuania. So just adjusting a little bit. But in the last 200, it does look like Fernando Pimenta really in control of this race. We're seeing a bit of a challenge from Slovenia's Jost Zakrajcek here, trying to reel in Lithuania and the Czech Republic of Josef Dostal. But Dostal, again, raising his rate here, trying to challenge a little bit, maybe catch Pimenta by surprise in the last 100 as we're entering those red buoys. And there he comes, so Pimenta will have to react a little bit to Dostal's late charge.
Oh, look at this.
It does look like Pimenta saw him coming and just reacts a little bit to keep his advantage, but Josef Dostal coming in second. Late charge in the last 100, followed by Lithuania's Andres Oliknik.
I always wonder how much you can see in your peripheral vision here, because it's hard to tell on the screen, but these lanes are 9 meters wide, right?
Yeah, so certainly if they're close to you, you kind of get a feel. If you're in the lead, you can get caught if someone's on the outside lanes and those kinds of finish, but most of the time you do have a feel for where things are at. But you can get caught if you don't kind of pay attention to some extent, especially if when you've had such a lead and you were kind of far away. But it was great to see Dostal being able to move really quickly and kind of catch a Fernando by surprise a little bit here. But great race here in this first 1,000-meter event of these championships.
Absolutely, certainly an exciting finish there.
So again, the big difference between these heats and even some of the semifinals and the final is once we get to the final, there won't be some relaxing in the second half because all of these athletes will be top class. So we'll be seeing a lot more of that push in the second half, and athletes having to really push to the limit to be able to maintain their advantage if they're in front and kind of challenge each other. So in these preliminary rounds, the top field athletes might be able to kind of just start hard and then kind of ease off or just maintain their pace. But as we move on through the rounds, it certainly narrows the field, and then athletes have to spend a lot more energy in each of their races in the 1,000.
And that's such a fine balance, I'm sure, in some of these situations to really, still push, but conserve some of that energy for those finals that are coming up in the next few days here.
Again, it's a great race here in the first heat of the men's K1 1,000 meters. We'll just get the final results and then move on to the second heat of 4 before we get to our Paracanoe finals and conclude the day.
So just while we're waiting for those results, a word about a partnership that's very important to Canoe 22. The North American Indigenous Games are taking place in Canoe-Kayak, Halifax, Dartmouth, and Millbrook First Nation in July 2023. These games will bring together 756 Indigenous nations to celebrate, share, and reconnect through sport and culture.
Yeah, certainly a great event, and if you're looking to volunteers, they're looking for volunteers for next year already. Great event and great way to connect with the Indigenous communities coming to the area. So we've had a start in the second heat of the men's K1 1,000 meter. In lane 1 from Puerto Rico, Eddie Barranco. In lane 2 from Peru, Segundo Cabrera. In lane 3, Slovakia's Peter Gele, the 3-time Olympian and 3-time World Championship medalist. In lane 4, the Tokyo 2020 silver medalist in K2000 and double world champion, back-to-back junior world champion in K1000 in 2016 and 17, one to watch, Germany's Jacob Schoff. In lane 5, the Olympic gold medalist in K2000 in Tokyo and 7th in K1000, Australia's Thomas Green. In lane 6, the 24-year-old 2020 Tokyo Olympian, 4th in Recitze earlier this year in this event from Italy, Samuele Borgo. In lane 7, the 2020 Tokyo Olympian in K2000, mainly been a K2 and K4 paddler, but taking this entry this year at the World Championship, representing British Columbia and the Ridge Canoe Club, Canada's Brian Malfazy. And in lane 9, the Junior World finalist in K1000 and K2 500 last year in Portugal, coming 6th in K1, stepping up to the senior ranks here this year in the K1000, Romania's Darius Zaharia. And as we get to the 500-meter halfway distance, it looks like Thomas Green from Australia, followed by Germany and Italy, if I'm not mistaken, coming through a strong performance in the first half. Again, no one making it straight to the final, top 6 to the semifinal, but every position matters here as we're starting this round of preliminary heats in the K1 1000. So strong performance so far from Australia's Thomas Green, being in the lead by about a boat or so here as we're approaching the 250-meter mark. Germany seems to be in second with Peter Gele from Slovakia in third place. And we kind of saw this strategy from Germany's Jakob Schoff last year in Tokyo, coming back and actually snagging a fourth place results in the K1000, but commanding lead at the 200-meter from Thomas Green, just under 3 minutes as he crossed through, and then Jakob Schoff, and then in lane 9, Romania's Darius Zaharia actually coming in for third so far as we're entering the closing stages of the second heat of the K1 1000 meters. We can see Jacob Schoff trying to close the gap here, as mentioned before, just really, really strong finisher. So you can see his rate is almost doubled now as he's mounting a late charge against Thomas Green from Australia. So So it should be neck and neck here as we're coming in the last few hundred meters between Australia and Germany, but it does look like Australia will be able to hold on Germany's late challenge. So. And then in third place here, again, very, very close between those four athletes, between Romania, Canada, Italy, and Slovakia. So we'll have to wait for the photo finish and the results here to be able to get a sense of who snagged that third place finish.
Geez, my heart is pounding. Can't imagine how they're feeling. They're waiting for those results. It was really close there at the end.
Yeah, and great race here by Thomas Green. Again, the Olympic gold medalist in K2000. Experience in K1 as well, but you can see the distance of the 500, about 3 or 4 boats between the Australians and the Germans, and then comes into like a boat shoot between the two of them. So certainly a bit of playing and a bit of happening through this race here as we get into the preliminaries, but great racing here in this second heat. And you can see that charge here happening, just the rate just increasing rapidly, and then that gap closing so fast. But again, Thomas is not a veteran of racing and knows how to react to those kinds of things. So just being able to kind of feel the pace and the charge, and just being able to respond in the right time to not get past here in this race. We'll see if we get our photo finish all the way up to fourth, but it doesn't look like it, so we'll have to wait for the results to confirm again who took that third place. But see just a bit of fun and games between Germany and Australia here, pushing each other, similar to what we saw in the first heat between Dostal and Pimenta. So we do have the result, and it does, and again, Romania just snagging the win here. So 0.06, then 0.15, then 0.03. So very, very close between all of these athletes. About 0.2 of a second between 4 boats for third place here. And we're getting ready to go in the third heat of the K1 men's 1,000 meter. In lane 1, the 24-year-old member of the Kiwi K4, 8th in Poznan earlier this year in K1 500 from New Zealand, James Munro. In lane 2, the marathon and ocean racing athlete, many top 10 finishes in those disciplines, starting for the first time at the World Championship from South Africa, Mark Keeling. In lane 3, the 2020 Tokyo Olympian and 2019 and 18 K2000 silver medalist from Spain, Francisco Cabellos. In lane 4, the 2-time Olympian and defending Olympic champion in K1000. He's also the world record holder. He's the 2019 K1000 world champion and last year's silver medalist from Hungary, Balint Kopas. In lane 5, the Tokyo 2020 and Rio 2016 Olympian, the 2016 Under-23 World Champion and 2014 Junior World Champion from Belgium, Arthur Peters. In lane 6, the 2021 and 2019 B finalist in K1 500, a member of the GB squad since 2014 from Great Britain, Danielle Johnson. In lane 7, competing on the World Cup circuit since 2014, a 500 specialist and some semi-final appearances in the 1,000 meter from Israel, Ilya Popolny. In lane 8, the 19-year-old and 2021 Under-23 World Championships B finalist from the United States, Jonas Ecker. And in lane 9, the 26-year-old who represented his country at the last 2 World Championships, reaching the semi-finals in K1 200 meter last year from Trinidad and Tobago, Nicholas Robinson. And we are underway about 40 seconds here into this third heat of the men's K1 1000 meter. As you'd expect, really strong start from lane 4, Balint Kopas, the defending Olympic champion here in the K1 1000 meter. And taking the lead at the 750, followed by Arthur Peters from Belgium and Danielle Johnson from Great Britain. Similar to Fernando Pimenta, Balint Kopas does like to go out hard here and take the lead early and try to maintain. That strategy certainly paid off really well last year in Tokyo as he snagged the Olympic win and also the world record on the waters in Tokyo. But Arthur Peters staying with him here, and the athletes from Great Britain actually holding on as well and staying in contention here. As we're approaching the halfway point of the 500, it is still Hungary's Banook still holding on the lead over Arthur Peters from Belgium and Great Britain's Daniel Johnson. In fourth place currently is the United States' Jonas Ecker in lane 8. We can see that the wind has increased a little bit on the water, not as flat as earlier in the day, so making this 1,000 meter a little bit longer, especially at the starting area. So in the first part of the race, a little bit more wind, and as you're progressing through the water, it gets a little bit flatter and flatter. But Banook is really just continuing to drive this field about a boat or two of a lead now, able to put some good strokes into the water and just gliding his boat through as he's approaching 250 meters to go. So at the 250, Hungary, Belgium, and Great Britain coming in the top 3 positions. Should see a bit of a late charge here again by a few of these athletes that will try to kind of get a good position here for the finish. Ballon might be able to just kind of ease through and continue as he's going. But a bit of a raise here from the Spanish athlete. We saw that a little bit earlier in the other 2 races, but the Spanish athlete in lane 3 actually picking up the rate quite a bit here as he's trying to mount a challenge to come into 3rd or 2nd place. A bit of a reaction here from Arthur Peters as well, as you kind of saw him coming, the athlete from Belgium reacting to the charge from the Spanish athlete, but it doesn't look like anyone will be able to challenge Hungary's Balogun here in this 3rd heat of the men's K1. Close race for 2nd. Not sure if we're able to tell between Spain and Belgium who took that 2nd place, and then 4th in Great Britain. Great race by Daniel Johnson here. So here's your winner from the 3rd heat of the K1 1,000 meter, Balogun, the Olympic champion and world record holder in the 1,000 meter K1 event. Yeah, good paddling looks easy, but it certainly is not. So, so kudos to these world level athletes that are able to make it look simple. We're just having our athlete from Trinidad and Tobago, Nicholas Robinson, actually just coming into the finish here. So big round of applause for him as he's crossing the line here in this 1,000 meter event. Once again, late charge here in the last few hundred meters of the race, shuffling the order with Spain making a big push, coming from about 5th or 6th, actually coming in all the way to potentially 2nd, depending on how close he was to Arthur Peters from Belgium when they reached the finish line.
That was really close there.
So we'll have to wait for the final results and the confirmation to get a sense of who actually took 2nd, but here as in the photo finish, it does look like Arthur Peters in lane 5, may have been able to hold off the charge from Francisco Cabellos from Spain. And we do have confirmation of the results here. Hungary's Balogun taking the win, followed by Arthur Peters and Francisco Cabellos. 0.04 between the 2 of them. It's a very, very close finish. And then Mark Keeling will have to wait here on his time to know if he's advancing into the semi-final pools for tomorrow. Israel, Ilya Poboldny, and Trinidad and Tobago's Nicholas Robinson are sadly eliminated from the K1000.
And we do have one more heat to go here, and then we will have our semifinal set for the men's K1 500.
Yeah, so exciting race here again, 4th heat of the men's K1. Smaller field, only 6 athletes with the scratch of Tajikistan, Abdusador Gafurov. But in lane 2, we have China's Tokyo 2020 6th place finisher in the K1000 and 5th in the K2000 2018 Under-23 World Championship from China, Dong Zhang. In lane 3, the athlete born in Iran, who trains in Germany with the support of the ICF and the IOC Refugee Athlete Scholarship recipient, fled Iran and when he began receiving death threats back in 2015 and competed at the Tokyo Olympics for the IOC refugee team last year. So from the ICF, Syed Fazlullah. In lane 4, the 3-time Olympian and silver medalist in K2000 back in Beijing in 2008. He's a 3-time world champion, including the K1000 in 2015, and a 7-time world championship medalist from Denmark, René Poulsen. In lane 5, the Tokyo 2020 Olympian finishing 8th in the K1000. He's the defending Pan American Games K1 1000 meter champion and the under-23 K1000 world champion in 2017 from Argentina, Agustin Verice. In lane 6, the 2021 K2000 meter world champion and 2018 under-23 K1 1000 meter champion from Sweden, Martin Natel. And in lane 7, the under-23 B finalist K1000 back in 2018 and semi-finalist in Rachitse earlier this year in the 500 from the Netherlands, Albert Vlier. And we are underway, and you can see the wind is a little bit stronger at the top of the course, about a minute in or 50 seconds into this race at this point. It does look like Argentina currently has the lead, followed by Sweden, then Denmark, and China. We can expect a really close field here in the first few meters of this race, and as we saw in the last few 200 or 250, there can be some movement as we're coming through, but Argentina taking a bit of a lead here, but it does look like there's a bit of a challenge mounting from René Holten Poulsen from Denmark as well. So approaching the 500 meter here, a 4-boat race at this point between China, Denmark, Argentina, and Sweden. Does look like it's going to be very close at the split time in the halfway mark. It does look like Sweden may have actually started a bit of an edge on Argentina and then Denmark, and then China is about a boat back now at this point. So usually in this 500, that's where, in the 1,000, pardon me, that's where athletes will like to execute a bit of a pickup, being able to change their rate, kind of inject some energy and try to keep some glide through the boat and able to drive this through. Some athletes like to do it before the 500, some at the 5, some a little bit after, before they get into kind of their last 200, the last 100 to kind of finish the race. So that surge kind of comes at different times, and athletes just have to stick to their race plan as they're coming through. But seeing that maybe from Martin a little bit earlier than from the others, as he kind of took the lead over Denmark, Argentina at that point. Still a close race here between those 4 boats, between Sweden, Argentina, Denmark, and China, as we're approaching the 250 meter mark left in this race. Does look like Sweden still is holding the lead slightly over Argentina, and China is, pardon me, making a surge back with Denmark falling behind a little bit at this point. And you can see with the last 200 meters, that rate starting to come up a little bit as athletes are making a surge for the line here. So China continuing to make their push, and then Argentina just increasing their rate a little bit over Sweden, but very, very close between those two athletes as we're getting to the last 100 meter of this race. So with about 50 meters to go, Sweden trying to hold on for this win over Argentina and China, but getting very, very close here for the finish as we're getting to the line. Too close to call, but it does look like Argentina might have managed to come back a little bit. And then Denmark coming in 4th place, just in front of the Netherlands, and Syed Fazlullah, the ICF athlete.
Really close there between China and Sweden, I think.
Yeah, and Argentina in the mix as well. So between the 3 of them, we'll have to wait for the confirmation of those results. It might have been Augustin Vernice just coming in the last few strokes and lunging at the right time to take the win, and it does look like that is the case. So certainly a small margin between those athletes, again, in this 4th heat. So our semifinal should now be set, and it should be some exciting semis with those top athletes making their way to the A final. And great start here from all these athletes. Can see really the 1,000 is a long race, but that start really sets you up for a good travel pace. Looking at Renee's travel pace here, able to drive through as you cross the 250, just really in good control with the top athletes. At the 500, Sweden taking the lead over Argentina and Denmark, and China just being a little bit back and starting to make their move. But really controlled here from Martha Nathel from Sweden, as we were in the last 100 meters here in the red buoys, and then those two other athletes just making a light push, and Martin just not having as much energy to react, or just knowing that he was comfortably in the top 3 and moving on to the semis. And some cheering in the crowd, if you can hear in the background, as Ezequias just made his way to the spectator area and got a big cheer from the Brazilian crowd here. Congratulations, Ezequias, at his win in the C1 500 earlier, and also on his Tokyo results last year.
The energy here is really great with all of the spectators around the lake and just hearing all of the support from fans and other athletes as well.
Yeah, so we're still waiting on confirmation of the results for the K1 1,000 meter fourth heat. It is Augustin Vernies for Argentina taking the win over China and then Sweden. So 0.09 and then 0.17. So very, very close for all of those 3 athletes. And then every single athlete moving on to the semifinals. So we should have some exciting men's K1 1,000 meter semifinals coming up in the next few days.
Absolutely. And speaking of exciting moments, we are about 8 minutes away from a big moment here. It is our first final of the event. We have 3 women competing in the VL1 women's event, and one of them will be the world champion. So again, that's about 8 minutes away. So we'll have a short little break here, and then we will head to the start line.
Nem volt minden vagyok? Nem is lennék? Forulakon nem csillog? Négy magyar egység közvetlenül a döntőbe jutott, a fiatalok pedig remekül mutatkoztak a világbajnokságon. Négy magyar egység közvetlenül a döntőbe jutott, a fiatalok pedig remekül mutatkoztak be a Kajakkon a világbajnokságon. Nagy tisztelettel köszönöm a híradókedves nézőit Kanadáról, a világbajnokság helyszínéről. Mindent fognak tudni, azért álltam meg. Mondjam újra? Jó. Négy magyar egység egység közvetlenül a döntőbe jutott a szerdai előfutamokból, a fiatalok pedig remekül mutatkoztak be a Canoe-Kayak világbajnokságon. Nagy tisztelettel köszöntöm a híradó kedves nézőit a helyszínről, a kanadai Dartmouth városából. Szerdán az utolsóként vízre szálló magyar Kopasz Bálint imponáló magabiztossággal mutatkozott be. Olimpiai bajnokunk kajakegyes 1000 méteren óriási fölényen nyerte meg az előfutamát, még úgy is, hogy az utolsó métereken bőven kiengedett, így nagyon könnyedén jutott be a középfutamba, csak úgy, mint legnagyobb riválisa, a portugál Dénáknak. Bemutatkozott a női kajakosok királyszámában 501-esben Rendesi Eszter, aki felnőtt világversenyen először indult ebben a számban. Ifjú tehetségünk, ahogy a parton elmondta, jobban izgult a futam utáni interjúban, mint a vizen. Kiváló evezéssel és minimális különbséggel, de győzött, így bizakodva váratja a pénteki középfutamot. Volt szerdán még egy előfutam első helyünk a női kajakpárosok 200 méteres versenyében. Kis Blanka és Lutz Anna remekül evezve győzött futamában, és jutott be szintén közvetlenül a döntőbe. Szerdán összesen 4 magyar egység került egyből a döntőbe. A Lutz kispáros mellett a Folyt, Kuk, Kőhalmi, Gazsó alkotta fiatal női kajaknégyes, amely kifejezetten erős előfutammal lett harmadik, de ez is elég volt az örömhöz. A Paracanoe Nagy Bianca női kenupáros pedig 2 számban is készület a fináléra. 500 méteren óriási csatát vívtak a dobogóért, és végül 300-ban megelőzték Kanadát. A harmadik helyük az előfutamban pedig megvezetlenek a döntőben. A lányok még abban az udvarban szálltak partra, hogy délután 200 méteren is előfutamoznak, de végül a visszalépés
across every single lane, so we should be in for a really, really exciting race. So about a minute away here as athletes are making their way to the start line. Nice shot here of India's Pooja Hoja and Germany in lane 4, Esther Bode, who again, silver world championship medalist from 2021 and 2019. So one of the ones to watch here in this final. In lane 5, again, world champion in 2021, Lillemor Kuiper from Germany as well. So these two German athletes, top of the class in this event. Should be a good showdown between the two of them. And in lane 6, the 30-year-old, 9th at the 2019 World Cup in VL2 from Chile, Jocelyn Munoz. So just about to get underway here as the sun is starting to set a little bit on the late afternoon on Lake Banook here for this first final of the women's VL1 200 meters. Once again, lane 3, India, lane 4, Germany, lane 5, Germany, and lane 6, Chile. And we have a start here in this first World Championships final of the Canoe 22 event. Great start from India, Pooja Ojha, here in lane 3 as she's blasting off the line here. Germany's Lillemor Kieper as well, just getting to a great start. Esther Bode just a little bit behind, but trying to close the ground here as they're coming through in this final. About 50 meters in, looks like Lillemor Cooper just a little bit of a lead here at the moment, but India's Pooja Ojha, again, first entry in the VL1 category, is doing really well here as we're driving into the second half of this race, approaching the 100-meter mark. We can see Esther Bode from Germany in lane 4, starting to climb her way back here and challenging for the lead. But it does look like Lillemor Cooper from Germany is currently about half a boat ahead as we're getting into the second 100-meter of this race. So with about 50 meters to go, it does look like Lillemor Cooper is just pulling away a little bit at this stage. Esther Bode and Pooja Ojha just continuing to challenge for the silver medal together. Extremely close race here for the silver medal as we're driving through the finish. About 25 meters to go here for these athletes, driving through their first final of these World Championships. As we're getting to the finish line here, Lillemor Cooper from Germany taking on that first medal, and it does look like India's Pooja Ojha taking on the silver, and Esther Bode from Germany taking the bronze medal here. So Germany, India, Germany if results are standing, but looks like Lillemor Cooper is our first world champion of these World Championships.
That is a gold medal smile right there.
Yeah, and repeating from last year, so can now say double world champion 2021 and 2022. So great start from her here. You can see right away, so India and Germany, so lane 3 and lane 5 really starting up well. Esther Bode just a little bit off the line, and that might have cost her that silver medal. But top of the field in this race, Lillemor Cooper from Germany, really being able to really separate herself from the field and take this win. But what a great race from these athletes, and what a great race from Jocelyn Munoz as well, just taking up this event and then coming in fourth for Chile. So such a convincing win for Lillemor here, about a full boat ahead and half a boat or a quarter of a boat between silver and bronze between Pooja and Esta in this race.
Oh, love seeing these celebrations. You just think about all of the years of work that go into this moment, and it's just really beautiful to see her celebrating there.
Yeah, certainly and exciting. And congratulations to Lillemor Cooper, our first world champion of these championships. So confirmation of those results, Lillemor Cooper taking the gold, Pooja Ojha from India taking the silver, and Esther Bode taking the bronze. So congratulations to all those athletes. Looking forward to the medal ceremony for where they will receive those medals tomorrow.
Absolutely, and we have another event coming up where we will be crowning our second world champion, this time in the men's VL1 event, and just a few minutes away from the start of that one here.
Yeah, so great event coming up as well. Have a fairly packed field, so it should be a really exciting race. We just have to wait, as one of the athletes is just getting some medical assistance at the finish line, but it looks like everything's under control as they're getting escorted to off the line. So things seem to be fine. It might have been more of an equipment component, so things seem to be resetting now. But we're getting ready to go as all the athletes are safe now and getting ready to go here in this VL1 men's 200-meter A final. So once again, crowning a champion here on Lake Banook in just a few minutes.In lane 1, we'll have one of the athletes who's relatively new to paddling, but has been rapidly improving over the last year. Accomplished para-athletics athlete who competed at the 2015 and 2019 Parapan American Games. paddles for the Masco Aquatic Canoe Club in Halifax. From Canada, Benjamin Brown. In lane 2, the 59-year-old who was 5th last year at the World Championships and consistently in the top 6 of the World Championship over the last 10 years, from the USA, Vadim Kin. In lane 3, the 37-year-old from the Balmy Beach Canoe Club and 2018 Pan American bronze medalist in KL1, from Canada, Miguel Sanchez. In lane 4, the silver in Poznan earlier this year and bronze at last year's World Championships in Copenhagen, from Italy, Alessio Bedin. In lane 5, the 4-time Paralympians in tennis. He embraced paracanoeing 6 years ago. Silver medalist from last year's World Championships and bronze medalist in 2019 and silver in 2018, from Chile, Robinson Mendez. In lane 6, an athlete who took up the sport in 2019 and 7th in Poznan earlier this year, who also doubles up in VL1, from Australia, Benjamin Sainsbury. In lane 7, first World Championship appearance in this event, who was also competing in VL1 later this week, from India, Surinder Kumar. And in lane 8, the 66-year-old from the San Diego Canoe Club, 8th place in the men's V1 back in 2014, from the United States, Barry McEwen. So again, really strong field here in the second final of these World Championships, the VL1 men's 200 meters. Looking forward to crown our second world champion of these championships. We're just about a minute away here as athletes are making their way to the starting blocks, and then we will get underway in this final, the last event of the day here today. So nice shot here of Robinson Mendez, the silver medalist from last year's World Championships, so certainly one of the athletes to watch in this final out of lane 5.
Please come to the start line. All boats to the start line. Lane 7 forward. Please come.
Athletes are just getting to the starting blocks now, so we should have a start momentarily in this second final of these World Championships. So quick race coming up to crown the second world champion of the event. So stay around and cheer as we're going through with 2 Canadians in the field in this final. So lane 1, Brown, lane 2, Kin, Sanchez, and lane 3, Bedin, lane 4, Mendez, lane 5, Sainsbury, lane 6, Kumar, lane 7, McEwen, lane 8.
Ready, set.
And we have a start here in this men's VL1 200-meter A final. Great start from some of the middle lanes, and Ben Brown in lane 1 as well. So really solid start as we're going through. It does look like lane 4, 5, and 6, Alessio Bedin, Robinson Mendez, Benjamin Sainsbury, and Ben Brown from Canada are currently away and having a great start to this race. Benjamin Sainsbury from Australia looking like he's driving really strong here as they're approaching the 100-meter mark, but Alessio Bedin not letting him get away as they're kind of coming through and driving forward. Robinson Mendez from Chile still hanging on as well, and Ben Brown in lane 1 also driving towards a potential medal here as he's getting into the last 100 meters of this race. And it does look like Benjamin Sainsbury continuing to drive his boat forward as they're getting in the last 25 meters. Alessio Bedin mounting a late charge still, and Robinson Mendez continuing to push forward for a medal here. And it is Ben Sainsbury taking the win, and Italy's Alessio Bedin coming in second. Robinson Mendez taking the bronze, and Ben Brown from Canada in his first year racing at the World Championship coming into a strong 4th place.
Sainsbury with that celebration and definitely some relief there on his face as well.
And clean final here with all these athletes completing the race here. Great start, as you can see, from Benjamin Sainsbury. Really powerful, high rate, switching side to keep the boat straight. Almost had a slip of his paddle there, but kept his composure. Really, really great race for these athletes. It's extremely hot out there and a bit of a headwind, but really fair conditions as we went through. But you can see Ben Sainsbury really able to keep that glide forward. Robinson Mendez, a little bit of a harder start, but still able to kind of maintain some momentum and come in for a bronze medal. And Alessio Bedin really within the race the entire time, close to actually challenging Benjamin Sainsbury in the first half, and then just continuing to drive through for a silver medal. But look at that power as he's coming in the last few meters, and then that celebration crossing the line. Very, very exciting. But switching sides here, keeping the boat straight, and able to come in win here by about 3/4 of a boat in this VL1 final here at the Canoe 22 World Championships.
I love that switch from focus to celebration there at the end. Oh, here we go in slow-mo.
Yeah, taking the win in the World Championship title. Your world champion, Benjamin Sainsbury.
Huge congrats to you. What a beautiful way to end the day here with 2 world champions crowned here on day 1 at Lake Banook.
And certainly the Australian fans on the side of the lake cheering for their athlete here, starting to take some gold medals here at these World Championships. So great racing by and certainly congratulations. Still can't believe it. A bit of a nod of the head there, but what a great race by Benjamin Sainsbury taking gold here. And great to see the camaraderie, the friendships here that are built on the water with the Chilean athlete here, Robinson Mendez. So great to see that out there. So two medalists congratulating each other. And in confirmation of the results here, so Benjamin Sainsbury from Australia taking the gold, Italy's Alessio Bedin taking the silver, and Robinson Mendez from Chile taking the bronze. Canada's Ben Brown coming in 4th, and Miguel Sanchez in 8th in a very, very competitive field here in the men's VL1 200-meter A final.
Huge congratulations to all of these athletes. Just getting here to this level of competition is quite a feat in itself, and a perfect end to the day, crowning these 2 first world champions at the 2022 World Championships here at Lake Banook in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. We can't end the day without thanking our volunteers who make what we witnessed today possible. So over 600 volunteers have put in 80,000 volunteer hours. Organizations and businesses in the community also playing an instrumental role. Thank you to Support for Sport. They are the proud sponsor of our volunteers. Nova Scotia Gaming Corporation Support for Sport program actually raises funds for training and development opportunities for athletes, coaches, and officials throughout Nova Scotia. A final shout out today as well to our bronze and supporting sponsors. They are East Coast Credit Union, Bell Media, Pattison, McInnes Cooper, Fluid Insurance, Royal Bank of Canada, Immediacy, Glow the Event Store, and Docs Unlimited. And we also want to thank Downtown Dartmouth, Develop Nova Scotia, and Halifax Water, our beverage sponsors, 9 Locks, Lake City Cider, and Coldstream Distillery, and our travel partner, Turnkey Travel. A final reminder of an event happening tonight here at the festival site. It is this evening at 7 o'clock on Silvers Hill. The Practice Movement Studio, located just up the lake at Paddler's Cove, is hosting a guided sunset meditation featuring light water essential oils. That is at 7 o'clock again. Great way to wind down before another packed day of competition tomorrow. And speaking of tomorrow, the races do begin at 9 a.m. We will be starting the day with women's K1 200-meter heats. So for myself and Pierre-Luc Laliberté, who's been with me on the mic all day, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great evening, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow bright and early at 9 a.m.
Ragazzi, ma non è come l'Italia che con un cioccolatino tu ci compri, con 2 è facile. Ecco. 10.000 ti bastano. Cazzo, da pensionato te ne manda un volo. Basta da pochi per riscuotere. Ciao Stefano. Da pensionato.
l'obiettivo che mi devi regalare.
Ok.
No, quello lì è un 400.
Price is the same.
Forse. No, non va bene su questo. È un'altra marca quella. Devo stare sulla barca adesso. Lo facciamo appoggiare sulla barca. Piuttosto che la calato là, guarda, si butta giù. Questi italiani scropponi.
You must jump. Okay?
No, tanto male che quelli sono tropicalizzati, quindi che sono fatti apposta per resistere all'acqua. Sono quelli che usano tipo anche tropicali. Quello lì forse sui 10. Quanto fanno? Vediamo di pensare. Esatto. Sempre sui 9, 8. Per me 4.000 euro così a gratis, da fare niente, va bene.
Nous avons une mission de parler tous seulement.
C'è anche la casa che ha inventato